Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. I know it's a little bit rain out there, so we appreciate everyone making the trek out here. Welcome to our seminar called Senior Living Options 3.0. So it's the best version for you folks, okay? Little bit of housekeeping. There are restrooms down the hall to the left. There's a restroom. And then every one of you folks got a folder. In that folder, what it is, it's the public tax records of any properties that you may have and any comparable sales if anyone is curious to learn what they're going for. Also in that folder is an article the USA Today picked up on what we do and how we serve our clients, and also mentions the new book that Dan and Julie just wrote and published, and he'll touch on that a little bit as well. Today's seminar, there's going to be a lot of information that we're going to go over, and there's a good chance that it may be a little bit overwhelming. So the good news for everyone here is that if anyone is interested, then you can schedule a time to go over your options, go over possible solutions, and start creating your own real estate plan. So at the end of today, you guys will have that opportunity as well. And then we will be having lunch as well after, so if anyone's hungry, we'll be having some lunch as well for you folks. Okay? Now introducing Dan. So Dan's the one who's going to be speaking today. He's the leader of the Ihara Team, Hawaii. We've closed over $1 billion in sales, over 1,600 homes sold, and over 400 successful 1031 exchanges that we've done. He actually runs a community called Keller Williams Real Estate Planner, where he trains over 500 agents across the country on how to help families create these real estate plans to help them build, protect, and pass on wealth. He's also the author of Property Decisions, a new book that he just came out. That's an Amazon bestseller, and it was featured in the USA Today and Marquise Who's Who. So yeah, Dan will be coming to speak.
Thanks, Randy. All right, thanks everyone for coming. We've been doing this for, 20 years now. God, that makes me really old, apparently. But yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years, and we've evolved over time because we realized there are different situations and conversations families will have and want to have as you create plans. This is going to be fairly engaging for you, okay? So some of you, if you can stand, I'm going to ask you to stand. So let me ask you, could you stand up if you own real estate? Stand up if you own real estate. Okay, good. Raise your right hand. You're going to have to put your things down. Raise your right hand if you have children. Raise your left hand if you have more than one. Okay, then you and somebody else had fun one night and you guys made some more than one child. And I joke about that because that's where challenges come from. You can be seated. The problems that we're seeing today is that 70% of families fight after their parents pass away. And it's because of a division of real estate, because most of you, you're probably wise enough to have a trust. Unfortunately, though, your trust says likely that your trust will say your kids share it when you're gone. And that's where the problem comes. You can't share real estate. And the data says, attorneys tell us that 70% of families are fighting over that. So what are we going to cover today? Well, how will I know when it's time for me to move, right? When is that time? Many of us say we just want to stay home as long as we can, but you're going to have an option between being proactive and reactive. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what are your options. Where can you go if you can't stay home, right? What are my options, right? We're going to talk about all of them today. And then what do I do with my house or even my rentals, right? If you have more than one property, you've got properties that, may or may not be serving you and your family to the best it could. In our conversations with our clients is we ask you to really think about life as being intentional with life, being intentional about what you own, being intentional about how you want to spend your time, being intentional about the love that you have for your family. And a lot of that is going to come through our conversations as we start building a real estate plan, right? Because when I ask people, do you have a real estate plan? Nobody says yes, because we're not trained to do that. There's a void and gap in knowledge in the world today, and that's why we built a large national training company to train real estate agents, because real estate agents should be the ones that help their clients, not just sell and buy properties to make money, but really to create plans that will help you reach your goal in life. And these plans, some of them really don't focus on money. They focus on how you want to spend your time, who do you want to spend it with, and what matters most to you, right? And then we're going to teach you how to build a real estate plan. We're going to talk about that. You guys okay? Cool. So I can tell you there's only two types of people in this world, and you're going to pick one of them, right? You're either proactive or you're reactive, right? And I can tell you what they look like. For 20 years, I've saw both of them. Most of them end up being reactive. The reactive person calls me from their hospital bed and says, Dan, I need your help. And this is a real story. A guy came to one of our seminars, sat in a chair just like you did. And they said to me after the seminar, I'm good, I'm fine. About 2 years later, he calls me from a hospital bed. I said, well, where are you? He said, well, I'm in the hospital. So why are you there? I said, I'll tell you when I get there. I go to his hospital bed and he says, Dan, I need you to help me because I'll never see my house again. That guy broke his hip in his own home. He had 17 steps to get to his house. He never ever saw his house again. That's sad. It's horrifying to know that people are experiencing this. I wouldn't want to be him. Unfortunately for him, he didn't have any kids. He was a retired pastor. We all know how much pastors make, not a whole lot, right? And so he lived off of his home. He took credit cards after credit cards after credit cards to pay off other credit cards. He was in full debt, right? And so he asked me to go to his house to get his trust document, to get all his financial papers, and so to help him sell his house to pay for all his debt and to cover his care. After the hospital, we helped him go to a rehab center. From the rehab center, we helped him get into a care home right outside of Pauoa. And he became a friend of ours. Those are tough situations for us. We see a lot. I don't know if you know what the Office of Public Guardian is. Anybody know what the Office of Public Guardian? It's an office that you pay taxes to that are designed to take care of people who can't take care of themselves. So imagine you see a lady, your neighbor across the street, we'll call her Mrs. Wong, that you see her all the time, and she comes out and she rakes their yard and sweeps the leaves and picks up her newspaper and goes back in the house. She does the same thing every day. And one day you wake up and you notice that she didn't pick up her newspaper. So you go on your merry way, you do your thing during the day, you come back. The next day you see 2 newspapers on her door and you kind of get concerned. So what do? Well, you walk across the street, you knock on her door and you ask her if she's okay. You see her car there, you hear the TV on, she's not responding. What do? You call the police. The police are going to come and break her door down to get to her. And unfortunately, a large percentage of the time, they've expired in their own home. On the positive side, let's say they survive, they take her from there, they go to the hospital wants to release her, right? A case manager has to be involved to release her out of the hospital, and there is no next of kin, there's no one to take care of her. The state steps in as the Office of Public Guardian, the guardian to take care of health and medical affairs. Right? And then the guardian's going to go to the court. A judge will assign a conservator, typically an attorney, that will take care of legal and financial affairs. By that point, Mrs. Wong has lost her rights to make decisions of her own. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you reality of the lens of the eyes that we've seen, and it's very unfortunate. And I would never want any of you or any of your families to ever have to experience it, but I know it will, because people are reactive. Well, then you take the other side of the coin, right? You look at somebody that, well, how do I stop that? Well, you make a decision. You take action. Right? Today you're going to have an opportunity to take action, and take action to do something before you need to do it. Because if you don't, you're reacting, right? Everyone's going to say, I'm going to stay home as long as I can, and then one day you can't. You're the reactive person. Well, now's your time to be proactive. And what that means is you're going to make a decision to move while you can move. So think of it this way. If a married couple was together, is it easier to move when you're together or alone? Together, right? Imagine having to take care of your past spouse as a widow to move all their things away and to have to find someplace to go and to do this all on your own. We've helped clients do that. And those are tough times. Here's what I can tell you though. I've seen them both. I can tell you the proactive person lives longer, happier, less stressful. Here's the best thing about the proactive person. They're no longer a burden to the people they love the most because they were proactive. They made a decision before they became a burden to somebody else. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a choice in the matter. And I'm not going to be the judge of what choice you make. It's your choice. It's your life. You get to decide, right? But I can tell you the difference between the two. And I'm praying that you all become proactive, making the move while you can, when it's on your terms, and you're doing it wherever you want to go, not where somebody forces you to go. You're doing it on your own. Because when you move into a retirement community, something similar to this, when you're doing it on your own, you're able-bodied, you're making your own decisions. And then if something bad happens to your health, somebody's there to take care of you. And then if you need support, you have a support system. In your home, you don't have that. You're not going to have that. And you're going to be a burden to somebody else. And I'm telling you these stories from 20 years, 2 decades, thousands of families I've talked to. We've helped over 1,600 families sell homes and move and do this transition. Yeah, we've have etched memories in our mind about horror stories of families going through this. And I'm on a national mission now to prevent that. And that's why I've traveled all over the country. I've gone 160 to 130 days every single year for the last 4 years. I just came out of Boston 2 weeks ago. I spoke at the Gillette Stadium for 530 realtors, and I did this for 1 hour. 28 hours of travel for 1 hour because I really care, and I believe we can help change the world. And we have a book that later on today you'll have an opportunity to get to read, and it'll tell you stories, real life stories of what we've had to experience. And these are the 2 types of people. You guys get to choose. You want to be proactive or reactive? So think about that. So how do you know when it's time to move? That's the hardest question people have, right? Is your home too large now that the kids are gone? Maybe you have a 3, 4, 5 bedroom home and it's just you or you and your spouse. I go to some homes and I ask them if I can look around the house when they want to sell it. I open the door and it looks like the kid lives there. Well, the kid's 55 years old. His stuff's still in the room. Why? Because we love our kids. We want to cherish them. Yeah. And that's reality, right? Is your home or yard just too much work to maintain? Maybe the mango tree is getting too big. Maybe the jelly seeds are breaking. Things are failing in your home. And it's because we're on a fixed income, we don't put money into it, right? And then there's more deferred maintenance, peeling paint, all of that. Right? How many of you are tired of cooking and cleaning? If my wife was here, she would be the first one to raise her hand. Yeah. At some point in life, it's going to happen. Yeah. So what do? Well, we go to Zippy's, we go to Foodland, we buy food out there. Well, it's obviously not the healthiest. And just think about, what if you didn't have to do that? What if somebody did it for you? Right? Does your home have too many steps? We had a client that had 28 steps to get to her house. And it was up in St. Louis Heights, and I asked her, so tell me, she went to a retirement community. I said, tell me, why are you doing this? She said, well, Dan, these steps are really good for me all my life until now, because my neighbor 2 doors down, she fell on her steps and broke her hip, and she never saw her house again. And she said, that's not going to be me. I said, way to go. We found a proactive person. Yeah. It's rare to find a proactive person. I'm hoping to change that. And that's our mission, right? Are you living alone and concerned about security? Right? People knocking on your door. I don't know. I have a Ring camera. Anybody have a Ring camera? There's a whole social media on this Ring camera. It's scary because people are ruthless today. They'll just open people's doors and they don't belong there, and they'll just go steal stuff. Yeah, we see that all the time. And it's concerning to many folks. But would you like to make your own decisions about where and when your next move's going to be? Or do you want to leave that up to somebody else? In best case scenario, it's going to be your kids that says, Mom, you can't stay here anymore. Dad, you're banging the car too much. Yeah, somebody else is going to make that decision for you. The worst is the Office of Public Guardian does. Yeah, those are bad situations. So you get to decide when that time is. I'm hoping to inspire you to be proactive today. And so where do I go if I can't stay home? Right? Today we're going to talk about that. You have options. You definitely have options. You know, what if I can't stay in my home? And for some of you, where does mom go? Right? How do we take care of the person that we love the most when they don't want to move? When they don't want to move. And that's a conversation. So if you ever have somebody like that, over the last 20-something years, we got really, really, really good at this conversation. Why? Because we're not going to tell you what to do. We're going to ask you. We will lead you to self-discovery of what matters to you. The problem is we're all in denial. You see, we all can see the past, right? Very, very clearly. We remember when I asked people, oh, I open a guy's garage door and he's got all these golf clubs. Say, oh, you play golf? Say, oh, yeah. I said, when was the last time you played golf? He looks in the air, goes, oh, I don't know, about 15 years ago. But in his head, he plays golf every day. In his head. And then they look down to today, and today's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I live on my own. I'm okay. But here's the problem. Nobody can see the future. But the future is the only thing we can change. We can't change the past. We can't change the current. See, it's knowledge. Knowledge is of what we know. We know of the past. We know of the future. That's knowledge. Imagination is what's in the future. And my goal is to help you unlock imagination to a better life, a safer life, a more comfortable life, a life where you're not a burden to somebody else. And that's the conversations we have. Because I don't tell people what to do. I'll just ask it. In an hour conversation, I'll probably ask 60 to 70 questions. Why? Because I care. And I've done this long enough to understand that you can't tell people what to do to make them move. You can only get them to tell you what they want to do in order to move. So what are my options? Well, number one, you just stay home. Do nothing. By the way, doing nothing is a decision. You can stay home. So be it. You might end up being a reactive person at some point in time. You stay home long enough, you will be, right? Because here's two guarantees in life. I guarantee you, and in the professional world, realtors, financial planners, trust attorneys, CPAs, they say never use the word guarantee, right? Never use the word guarantee. Well, I'm going to show you how I can use guarantee. I guarantee you, there will be a day, you and I, we're going to leave this planet. We're going to die one day. Is that a guarantee? Can we all agree? Yeah. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Hopefully not today, but it's going to happen, right? Here's the second guarantee. The date of the last surviving spouse passing, that's the date of transfer of wealth. So what's your plan? What's your plan to make sure that your wealth goes to where you want it to go? What's your plan such that you bless your family, the loved ones you love the most? And most of you don't have a plan. I would say all of you don't have a plan. Your plan is to keep it in the name of the trust. It's a good start. It protects you from probate. It doesn't protect you from your family. Right? The other option is you move in with loved ones. Yeah. Some people say, oh, don't worry, my kids will take care of me. And I ask them, do they know this? You know what happens when an adult child has to take care of their parents? What happens? They have to stop their life to take care of you. Is that what you want? Is that really what you want? Do you want somebody else to stop their life just because of your life? Well, most of you say no, right? It's not what you want. But you don't even think about it. Hey, I brought them into the world. They're going to take care of me too. I wiped their butt. They're wiping mine. I tell my kids that all the time, right? They said, no, I'm not. Right? You could downsize to a smaller house or condo. Many folks are doing that. That's a proactive person. They're downsizing from a bigger house to a smaller house. Many of them are downsizing to a condo. Condos are good in certain areas, mainly because you can lock the door and go on a trip. You never have to worry about your house. You don't have to worry about gardening. You don't have to worry about cleaning. You don't have to worry about anything. Right? The proactive person, younger, does that. Adult residential care homes is something that it is an option, but it's not a proactive option. It's a reactive option. You're going there because you need care. Right? It's too late. You didn't decide early enough. You just have a problem. You need care. So what is that? It's a house in some part of our island. They have 4 people there other than yourself. Everybody gets a room. A family that lives there has a nurse on staff, has dietary restrictions on staff. They'll take care of you. You have a common area. There's over 800 of these on our island today. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Right? And you can go there. That is an option. Or a retirement community. Right? They're all over our island, and we're going to talk about those today. Why? Because I know them well. Why? Because our clients are there. We have clients in every single retirement community in the state, every single one. And I can introduce you to folks there. And I can teach you about what you need to know about these areas of consideration. Right? We're here now at Hale O Meleana. This is the newest retirement community in our island today. This used to be a hospital. You guys remember? I don't know if you've ever been here when it was St. Francis Hospital. Later after lunch, you'll get a tour. You'll be able to see it. The independent living side of this is downstairs on the first level. It's very modern and very new, but there aren't that many units. So they're going to fill up quick. Yeah. Here. So we'll talk about that. So in aging in place, it's either family taking care of family, right? That's one option. Or you bring in care, home care. Home care, and then there's also a thing called home health care we'll talk about a little bit more deeper in a second. And then it's their adult day services where you're going out to somewhere like Pololo Chinese Home, where during the day you're dropping mom or dad off at a daycare center. It's almost like from it's so funny. We're born in this planet, we start young, we end up on this planet, we end up the same way. We're just a lot older, right? Right? Somebody has a diaper on us, right? And it's going to happen. Should you be blessed to live long enough? It's inevitable, right? So what is home care? Home care is a social service that comes in. It's a private company that comes in and takes care of you. They take care of what we call ADLs, activities of daily living. Bathing, dressing, grooming, toilet, incontinence, mobility. By the way, raise your hand. How many of you have long-term care insurance? Okay, wow, that's awesome. This is a really smart group. For those who have long-term care insurance, number one, please keep paying it because you've been paying it so long. Number one. Number two, you're going to want to let the person that you're closest to know your account number and the phone number and the company name. And here's why. Where do you think you're going to be when you need long-term care insurance? You're going to be in a hospital. You're not going to be in your home. And your information is probably in a filing cabinet somewhere, in a piece of paper. Okay? Well, if you need it, you want to start that process early because there's a 90-day holding period, waiting period. So once you need it, the doctor says you need 2 of the 6 activities of daily living. All you need is 2 of the 6. If the doctor says that, then that's the start date of the 90 days, which means you're going to pay for all that care up front, and 90 days later, they're going to start reimbursing you. Right? That's how you're going to preserve your wealth. Right? Right? So really important for that. It does have limited health care. They'll check your vitals and temperature, medicine management. Biggest thing is cooking and cleaning, right? Things that matter to us. Maybe transitioning from your bed to a chair or in your chair to the table, getting you into the car, taking you to lawn, getting your prescriptions, those types of things. That's home care services, right? Now, home health care services is different. That's a clinical model. That's when you have an actual licensed nurse. And that's going to be much more expensive. This is when you have an intrusion in your body, like a tracheotomy or a wound care, you're going to need this. We had another client that their friend came to one of our seminars, and about 3 years later, they called me and said, "Dan, I need your help because my friend can't stay home any longer." I said, "So tell me the story." Well, they had home care coming into the house. Well, they didn't have, most people are cash poor and land rich, right? Most people have most of their wealth in their home. You bought it for $25,000, it's now $1 million. but you have no cash. That's the problem. Well, this same guy, this couple, husband and wife, he was back in the old days, Pepsi, you know, the guys who fill the vending machines, young guys, they don't know what a vending machine is. But it's a machine you put money into and the Coke comes out, right? Well, he would go and fill it. But he broke all of his knees, his hips, and his elbows because that's all he did his life, his whole time. So now this guy's in bed and he can't move, right? And his wife's like not even 80 pounds, she's a Japanese lady, and she couldn't turn him. So what they started doing is they had home care come in, but then as they started running out of money, they stopped that. They, instead of every day, they'd go every 3 days, and then every one day a week. Well, if you don't turn, and if you go to the bathroom, you get a wound care, which means you have an open sore. When that happened, home health care says, I'm not going to provide any service. I can't, by the Department of Health. Then home health care kicks in. And then it drains your money faster to a point where they ran out of money. They had to move. I actually had to find somebody to give them money, to loan them money because they had zero cash, to move them from there to another care home. We actually fronted them money because they couldn't, and then we ended up selling a house that paid for the care for the rest of their life. Right? That's the reactive person. But Medicare will cover this, but under certain, you have to be homebound, it has to be prescribed by a physician, and it can't be your son or daughter taking care of you. It's got to be a licensed physician, right? A licensed person that takes care of you. So home health care is when you stay home a little too long. What's that cost? Home care is less expensive, $24 to $30 an hour. Home health care is $75 and up. Just imagine if you need home health care 24 hours a day, that's 20 grand a month. How quickly is your money going to run out? At that point, your home is not the most financially feasible option. Right? Care homes are going to be your better option at that point. Right? Again, reactive person. Right? So retirement communities, there's two types of retirement communities, right? There's a month-to-month rentals, and there's this thing called a CCRC, Continuing Care Retirement Communities. These are life care guarantees. Now, this community here is a month-to-month rental. Which other ones are there? You've got the Plaza. Plaza is the largest one. They've got 7 communities available. 2 in Waikiki, Punch Bowl, Pearl City, Mililani, Kaneohe, right? There's a lot of them, right? They're part of the MW group. We have clients in every. My parents ended up, before they passed away, at the Plaza in Kaneohe. And then there's Hawaii Kai, which is Ivy. Now the Ivy is going to be the largest spaces you're going to have available as far as your own rooms. They'll have studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, even 3 bedroom, single family homes, attached duplexes with garages, 1,600 square feet with a yard. I mean, you could move into that as well. All right. Pohainani on the windward side, right? Kalakaua Gardens, right on Kalakaua, and Ilima Ilehano out on the west side. Okay, those are kind of your options. In Hawaii, we don't have that many. I travel all over the country and do this, and you could see one from every stoplight. You can see one somewhere in the country. There's a lot of them out there. Why? Because our demographic is growing, right? It's growing, and we're getting older. Here's the other challenge that we're having today that we didn't have 100 years ago. Medical technology has gotten so advanced. Doctors are able to keep us alive a lot longer. Good or bad, they're going to keep us alive a lot longer. So I had one of my friends, he's a pastor, he, in a text string with our friends, they said that, oh, he had a heart attack. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, I visually saw him on a table, the doctor cutting him open, doing this thing, and he's in the hospital for weeks on end. It's not how it went. He went in one day. They put a hole, a puka, in his vein. They ran a wire all the way up to his heart. They put a balloon in called a stent. It opened his valves up. He walked out that day. Today's technology, ladies and gentlemen, are going to keep your body around a lot longer. which means your finances have to match that. But also your brain has to match that. Because our biggest challenge going forward in the next 20 years will be memory care. There's not going to be enough memory care beds for all of us. It's just not. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. So that's why we're believers in retirement communities, because it keeps you mentally active, physically active. You're required to go down for your food 3 times a day. If you're home alone, that's not keeping your brain active. You know, when we talk to gerontologists and I study them and I work with them, they talk about this thing called cerebral stimulation, how your brain moves and active. Well, staying home and watching TV, that's not cerebral stimulation. Communication is, engagement is, playing games together, reading, all of these things. That's cerebral stimulation. That's what retirement communities do. That's why we're fans of them. Because while your body will last, what about your brain? Cognitive decline will happen faster living alone at home. Ask any doctor. It will. You have a choice in the matter to decide what you want. I'm trying to show you what's going to happen in the future. Most of you are in denial. You don't want to believe it. I've lived this for 20 years. I've seen it. I've talked to scientists and doctors around this, and it's real, right? So at a month-to-month rental, you get, there's no large entry fees to pay. You pay a community fee, which is 1 month's rent, and then you pay your first month's rent. You move right in. Now, this is the fastest growing industry in America today, because baby boomers, we like flexibility. We like to change our mind, right? You go in this one, and then 6 months later, or 2 years later, or 6 years later, you say, hey, my son's having another grandbaby. I want to go live over there. You could do that. You could just get up and go, right? They're all over the country. Some people choose to, because of finances, choose to move to a lower cost area. We've helped people move to Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Texas, where it's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper, probably half the cost as is here, right? You get to choose, right? You get to choose. What we do is we help you see your options. And later on, we'll talk about the plan methodology of how that works. Now, CCRCs, that's a life care guarantee. There's only 3 of them in our state. Kahalanui, 15 Craigside, and Arcadia. 15 Craigside and Arcadia are sister companies. So when you go and apply there, there's one application, there's one comptroller that validates if you are approved or not. CCRCs, though, you have to have a financial ability to do so, right? And the rough rule of thumb is 2 to 1. For every $1 of entry fee, you need twice the assets, right? So if you're thinking of one of those, 15 Craigside and Arcadia, they have a handful of openings, so you could potentially get in within the next several months. Kahalanui, though, you're on a 6-year waiting list. If you're considering Kahalanui, put your $10,000 in now and hope for the best. And you got to hope that you're actually physically able to move in when they call your name. See, if you're not ambulatory, they're not going to let you in. Why? Because they promise to take care of you for the rest of your life. It's a bad bet if you can't even move, right? So if you're not ambulatory, meaning you can't walk from your room to the dining hall, your options are limited. That's why I'm saying if you're proactive, you have more choices. When you're reactive, you have very little choices in the matter. Right? Yes?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had a quick question. Is it just physical, ambulatory, or is it also cognitive?
It's also cognitive. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So they have a life care guarantee, which means they take care of you. They guarantee take care of you for life. Why do people go there? Well, 1, they have the financial ability to do so. And 2, they don't want to be a burden to anybody else. That's why they do it. Right? Because their kids will never have to worry. Now, 15 Craigside and Arcadia are less expensive of an entry fee. It runs you as low as maybe $300,000 up to about $900,000 as an entry fee. Then you're going to pay another $7,000 to $10,000 a month, right? Yeah. Getting old is not cheap. Now, That's why I'm saying we're going to later on start talking about stewarding wealth. Stewarding wealth with what you have, maximizing your return on what you have, because you're going to need it. You're just gonna, right? Now, they're going to do a financial review and make sure you can do that. They'll also do health benchmarks to make sure that you're mentally and physically able to do so. Now, the good news about retirement communities is you get everything you need. How many of you have been, raise your hand if you've been on a cruise ship. Anybody been on a cruise ship? Was that good? Yes? No? It was okay? Yeah. A lot of people I talk to like cruise ships. I'm in a whole group now at my age. I'm with a bunch of our friends that they're into this stuff. So we started going with them. And a lot of them really like it. You know why they like it? Because there's food, there's cleaning, there's activities, no stress. It's kind of like a retirement community. It's exactly what you get, except there's no icebergs.
Might be cheaper than a retirement community.
You know, I have a client that went on a cruise ship and said they're not getting off. No, it's serious. It's cheaper to stay on a cruise ship than to stay on land. It's crazy. 2 years, she never got off. Well, she did at ports, but she never lived in her house. Yeah. I don't know if I could do that, but that's just me. Right? But you could, right? You could. And you get all your activities. You got health care on site. You can even drive. I mean, we had guys moving into retirement communities that are doctors that are still working. You still can do these things. People think that retirement communities are where you go and die. It's actually where you go and live. Live a stress-free life. Living a life without response. It's kind of like going back to being a kid again. You know, you don't have really much a lot of responsibilities. You can do what you want, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. You can do it with your friends, people of your age, people that understand the conversations and stories that you have, or you can go in your room and just be by yourself. You get to choose, right? And that's why we're fans of retirement communities. And that's why we've been teaching and preaching this for years. And now we're doing this all over the country. So there's 4 levels of care. Right? Number 1, independent living. You're all independent. Downstairs you have independent living. This is where you can do everything on your own. Right? It's fine. But at some point in time, you're going to need assistance. At some point in time, you're going to need help. Now, taking a shower is going to be difficult. Right? Moving is going to be difficult. Driving will be difficult. Walking could be difficult. Right? Eating could be difficult. But you're still mentally and physically able. Right? That's assisted living. Then you go to skilled nursing facilities. This is when you need medical care. You'll have a nurse. And this is typically like home health care. That's the same thing. Then the worst is memory care. And again, should you be blessed to live long enough? I guarantee you, should you be blessed to live enough? There's a really good chance that some of you are going to need it, myself included. Right? Okay, let me switch gears now from retirement communities. I'm going to talk about stewarding wealth. How many of you have more than one property? Anybody? Okay, for those of you who have more than one property, I think this is your conversation. Because you have 2 types of properties. One you live in and one you don't. That's it. One you live in and one you don't. So the one you live in, you should make emotional decisions on, right? You should make decisions based on what you want. But if you don't live in it, why are we making emotional decisions? Why are we not making astute decisions around wealth? See, most people don't see their investment properties or their rental properties as wealth. It was their old property. It was a property bought a long time ago. Hey, it's fine. It's appreciating. That's what people tell me, right? Is that stewarding wealth? No, because there should be a rate of return on that asset, right? For those of you who have stocks, bonds, or other assets, you know the rate of return on it, right? Well, if we know that inflation's at 2 to 4%, and it's going to get higher, it's just me. When the government prints money, inflation rises, right? That means the dollar is worth less. But yet you're not making much money on an asset that's worth a lot of money, right? Your investment properties, many of them, if you have a single family home, it's over $1 million. So if you gave me $1 million, how much money would you expect back? At least 5%. If I put that $1 million in an index, I'm getting 8 to 10%. This is stewarding wealth. And most people don't steward wealth. And in our book, we talk about that because it's a concept that's kind of new. Because realtors don't talk about it. Realtors, all they want to do is to get you to sell real estate so they make money. That's what a realtor does. We're on a national mission to change the way realtors show up. We're on a national mission to get them to care about you and your money, about opening up opportunities of what that could look like, the benefits that for your family, not what benefits the realtor. And sometimes it has no impact to a realtor. So when you live in and when you don't. So do you have a real estate plan? Well, I already know the answer. None of you do. You don't have a real estate plan. You might have wealth in real estate, but no one's taught you this. This is a new concept. And we're really excited about helping you. So what is a real estate plan? It's a plan to help you build wealth with what you have, to make it grow as fast as it can, right? Because money is good for the good it does. And then it's to protect that wealth. Well, you're going to protect it from taxes, number one, but you also want to protect it from your family. At the end of the day, when you're gone, do you want your kids to love each other? What's your plan to make sure that happens? Why is 70% of families fight? Because there's no plan. There's just not. And that's what this does for you. Lastly, what about passing on wealth? When you're gone, who gets what? Who gets what? And how do they get it? And if you don't need the income to sustain the life you desire from your investment properties, why are you waiting? Did you know you can bless your family today while you're alive? To appreciate the gratitude and love that you're going to create the legacy. You actually visually, emotionally can feel and see the legacy that you have? Or do you want to wait till you die and let your kids spend all your money on attorneys because they're going to fight? I'm just telling you this because this is the world we've lived in. We see it. It's horrible. I get hired by attorneys to do mitigation. I do family dispute resolution. I help families who are fighting. I have 3 families today that there's a restraining order on the brother because of the fight. We have another family that the brother was living in the house that mom lived in, and the mom ran out of money. So the sister's a trustee. She's got to sell the house. The brother ain't leaving. Yeah, we helped her get a writ of possession. What that means is the sheriffs physically removed the guy. 6 guys, big burly guys, went into the house and removed the guy. Legally. Yeah. And we got to now move his car because he's still coming back to the house. This is a 65-year-old man who never had a plan, whose parents never helped him with a plan. These are unfortunate situations, ladies and gentlemen. Dozens and dozens. We'll sell about 100 homes a year, right? Think of how many conversations we have. Think of how many messed up situations we deal with. Our plan and our goal is to help you so that doesn't happen to you and your family, so that you can be a good steward of wealth, right? Because money is good for the good it does. You got to decide what good you want to do in the world, whether it be your family or your church or your friends or whatever you care about. And that's what we do. We help you think bigger, think beyond what you think you know today, and open up opportunities for goodness to come out of what you've had over the time. Because your properties have appreciated over time. Would you agree? I have clients that bought for $25,000 that's worth $1.2 million today. Some of you sitting here are experiencing that. But you're sitting on a mass amount of wealth and you don't know what to do with it. Is that stewarding wealth? I don't know. Because I truly believe money is good for the good it does. And I'm hoping to help you unlock what you decide is good. Nobody else should decide this. I can't do it. Your family can't do it. You can do it with the right questions and help. So what is a plan framework? We talk about 4 things in our conversations. When you meet with us, it only takes 60 minutes because we have a system to everything we do. We've done this thousands of times. We first talk about your properties. We analyze your performance of your assets. We're going to show you, if you have investment properties, we're going to show you how much money it's making you. Mathematically, it's undisputable. It doesn't matter how you feel emotionally about it. It's math. And you'll see what it's doing for you. And then you get to decide. And here's what we see. We call it capitalization rate, and it's called a cap rate. What that is it's the economic viability of an asset relative to its value. So we take the income minus the expenses, gives you a net operating income. You annualize that, times it by 12, then you divide it by the value of the asset. Nobody knows what their cap rate is. Why? You don't keep track of expenses. You commingle your investment and your own money. You think it's okay. Why would you? If you had Costco stock and Costco needed more toilet paper, you think they're going to come to you for that? But yet you still do it in your own asset. It's because of how we see real estate. We see real estate like with a house with doors and windows and roofs on it. It's an asset. It should actually work for you and generate money for you for the benefit of what you want the money to do for you and your family. Right? So we'll analyze that, and then we'll make sure it aligns with what your goals are. Hey, as long as it aligns with your goals, you're fine. Right? Most of the time, they're not aligned because we haven't thought through it well enough. Right? And then we're going to find out what assets are draining energy from you, emotionally, cognitively. We have so many clients with investment properties, they don't want them anymore. They're tired of the tenants, the toilets, the trash, the taxes, insurance, right? And so now, if you have older condominiums, those are problematic today. Why? If you had it, most of Honolulu has condominiums back in the 60s and 70s, right? Majority of them. There's 3,500 of them, okay, today in Waikiki. I mean, from in town. Those were built back then. They had a projection of what expenses would be. They didn't expect the inflation today. They didn't expect the government to print money to make the money worth less. Second thing they didn't expect insurance rates to go up so high. Why did it go up high? Because of disasters. We didn't anticipate any of this 20, 30, 40 years ago. We didn't. So what happened? Insurance rates went up, maintenance fees went up, to a point where many people, we had 3 people last month, sell condominiums that they sold it for less than they bought it for. Less than they bought it for. And that's why we do annual real estate plan reviews. We're just now starting that for our clients. For those who want it, we're welcome to sit with you every single year to analyze everything you got, like a financial planner does for you, to see where the gaps are. Why? Because we realize that if we don't do that, things are going to slide away from us. Knowledge will slide away from us. Money is going to slide away from us. And then now you have a property that, you have to sell it, but you're going to sell it for less than you bought it for. Is that a good investment? Yeah, no. But we do it. It happens when we don't keep our eye on stewarding wealth well. Right? So after the properties, we're going to talk about longevity. We want to ask you, what do you want to see in life between this point in time till the end? We don't know when that's going to be. But you get to decide. I'm going to ask you really tough questions. Who do you want to spend time with? Right? How do you want to spend your money? Who do you care about that you want to take care of? And here's a tough question. How many good summers do you think you got left? That's a painful question and thought. And a guy comes up to me and says, Dan, don't worry about this. When I get I'm going to have a wheelchair with all this mechanics and all this AI and all this stuff. Is that a good summer? You tell me. What does a good summer look like? My wife and I, we've been traveling a lot because about 2 years ago, every year we spend a month away, or at least 1 or 2 months away, because we want to see the world. Because there will be a day we can't walk. So we're coming down, we're in Angkor Wat, which is in Cambodia, and we're walking down one of the largest temples in the planet, right? 8 stories high, made by elephants. So the steps are all hamajang, you know, real tough. And then we're coming down, and it's kind of scary. We see this guy walk up. He must have been close to 90 years old with a cane, all white hair. I said, we look at that, we look at each other, we look at that, and said, that ain't going to be us. We're going to do this while we can. When it's a good summer, when I don't have aches and pains. I want to do this while I'm physically able to, because there will be a day you won't be able to. I really hope and pray that you never leave this planet with regrets. I hope and pray that you live the best life you can for what you want to accomplish in the world with the people that you love the most. And that's what longevity talks about. We talk about, you know, your health care. How's your health? What do you think it's going to look like in 5, 10 years from now, right? What do you think you're going to need? Because what we got really good at is opening up the future in your head, because most people don't understand the future. You don't know what it's going to look like. I see it. Because 20 years, this is all I've done. I've lived it. And I am on a national platform to make sure that we help people see it. That's longevity. We talk about that. And then the property decisions that you're going to make based on that, right? Who do you want to spend your time with? Who do you want to bless? Who do you love, right? At the end of the day, when you're gone, who gets what? If you don't have a plan for that, your family's going to fight. You're going to be a statistic of the 70%. You're going to be the majority. You just will. And then we talk about assets. Assets, everything you have, liquid assets, insurance. We're asking about long-term care insurance. We're talking about life insurance. Most people of your generation and my generation think, well, I just want to make sure I might take care of my kids. Yeah, that's usually the concern and conversation, right? What we want to do is make sure that you understand that real estate, it's actually not that liquid, is it? There's only one way it becomes liquid is when you unlock it. And the way we look at it is seeing a piece of real estate, you can actually unlock that and reposition it to something else without tax. Something that'll bless your family, something that'll generate more money, something that'll make your life better and easier. You can do those things. And this is what we've done. And this is what we train all over the country, right? And then we talk about the next generation. Your kids, your grandkids. We talk about each child. Their age, are they married? Where do they work? Do they have kids? How old are they? Where do they go to school? Because that's typically what matters most to folks, right? It is. And so we talk about things that matter to you. And today at the end of this, you're going to have an opportunity to book a time for us. You'll spend an hour with us. We're going to be traveling quite a bit, so there's not a lot of time, but I'm committed to be here at least 1 to 2 weeks a month. In the month of May, I'll be here almost the whole time, but the rest of the year, I'll be here at most 1 week a year. I'm traveling all over the place, right? Because I really believe God's called me to do this. My goal is to help you create a pre-inheritance plan for your loved ones. A plan that you can do today before you die. Because we all know it's going to happen, so why are we waiting? Because no one's guiding you. Yeah, we're the guide. We can help you, guide you through this journey to create pre-inheritance plans for your loved ones. Things that matter to you and them, right? So plan for the end in mind, because we know that a majority of families are going to fight. Look around you. 7 out of 10 of you, your families are going to fight. And that's why we're doing this, to help you prevent that from happening. So what happens to your properties when you're gone? Most of you say, well, it's in the trust. Okay, that's a good start. Protects you from probate. That's a good start. What's it say? Well, outside of 2 trusts that I've read, they all said the same thing. Your 3 kids share it. You see the data? How do you share real estate? You don't. You fight over it. What happens? Well, let me ask you, are all your kids alike? Do they think alike? Do they act alike? Are they in the same economic phase of life? See, if the answer is no to any of those questions, you're going to be a statistic unless you have a plan to prevent that. We create plans that your family will never fight. And we actually help you with the conversation with your own kids to make sure that everyone's clear that these are your wishes. The problem comes is it's in a written document that you wrote it maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago and you never looked at it. You're scared of it because it's in legal language. You don't understand it. I look at it every day. I know what it says. I can tell you what it says in layman's terms. I'm not an attorney, but I've read enough of these and I work with a lot of attorneys. I actually had a class called I'm a Trustee, Now What? Why? Because there's 3 parties in a trust. There's a grantor, that's you, the owner of it. There's a trustee, that's their job on the trustee is to fulfill the wishes and instructions in the trust. And then there's a beneficiary, the person that gets it. The trustee is the person you've assigned, the person you felt was the most responsible, or the person that you like the most, or whatever it is. You named one or more people to do this, right? Who trains that person? So when the day you're gone, you just added a ton of stress to the people you love the most because you didn't prepare them for this. Why does this happen in our world today? Because attorneys don't do it. That's job security. Think of it that way. They're going to fight. Guess what? They're going to call me. It's $350 to $500 an hour. That's job security. There's no knock on them. It's just reality. We talk about it because we've experienced it with families. We understand how to deliver it in the layman's terms of understanding what that could look like. But we're always going to make sure, if you want clarity, to speak to your CPA, your financial planner, and your trust attorney. Because we're not those people. We're real estate planners, real estate wealth advisors. We help you plan and steward wealth in real estate and how it impacts you legally, how it impacts you on the tax side. Right? And this is the gap I'm filling in the country because the real estate industry doesn't teach that. Right? We do. We teach it all the time. Right? Because how do you divide it? You don't. Right? So creating pre-inheritance plans is really important because it helps you prevent family disputes. It minimizes tax consequences, and it creates a legacy you really, really want, you desire. You just haven't figured it out yet. We're going to help you figure that out. Right? And it's a proactive strategy to prepare you and help you transition this wealth at the end when you're gone. That's what it does. The result of it, it preserves family harmony, making sure your kids love each other. It helps you minimize taxes to keep money in your family's life versus paying it to the government. You get to choose. Right? But most people don't understand how that works. Avoiding probate, if you have assets that aren't fully funded, meaning funded in the trust, it's going to go to probate. And then ensuring your wealth is transferred efficiently and intentionally. Because while you might have assets, when you're gone, you want to make sure it gets to your loved ones as quickly and easily, as less painful as possible, right? What's that look like? Then provide you a peace of mind through professional guidance. When we create plans for folks, people leave with a burden lifted off of their shoulders, with stress gone, and knowing that their wishes, yeah, they're going to come true. They really will. So explore some strategies to avoid family disputes. And number one is we start with an early conversation. First, we started with you. Then we actually started with your loved ones. Or you started with your loved ones. Bring clarity to what matters most. Help them understand what your wishes are. It's not your brothers and sisters' wishes. It's what you want. Right? And then put the property in a trust to avoid probate and bring clarity to your wishes. See, imagine you have 3 children, and imagine that some people said, well, you know, I have 2 properties. This is a conversation I had yesterday. I have 2 properties. I got 3 kids. And property 1's going to this child. Property 2's going to this one. I said, what happened to the 3rd one? I said, I don't know. I don't have any more properties. So what's he going to think? He's going to think the other 2 did something behind his back to prevent him from getting anything. Is that his fault? Well, from that point on, from generations deep, forever, your family will never talk to each other. Your grandkids and cousins, all of those people generations below, they're not even going to know their family. Why? Because of a decision you failed to make or a decision you made that was poor. It happens every day. Every day in America, every single day in America, a family is waking up fighting. Every single day. And I'm on a national mission to prevent that. So much so, the USA Today understood what we did, and they wrote on a very nice article. You have it in your folder, you can read it. This is what one of the largest publications in the world has said about our mission, of what we're doing, because they believe that we should have a greater impact. Right? Document everything in writing, making sure your trust is very clear, working with your attorney to make sure every single detail is in there. You can structure it with great details of saying your grandson gets this after he does this, goes to college, gets married, whatever you want, whatever your wishes are, you can actually put it in your trust document, whatever it is. Right? Treat your heirs fairly. It just may not be equal, right? And just know that, and then communicate that, right? So that they don't feel like somebody got a better side of the conversation at the end of the day when they're gone. Right? Seek professional help, financial planner, trust attorney, CPA, and us, the real estate wealth advisor. Right? And then the last part is once you have the plan, then we educate your plan. Either you can do it or we can do it, either way. Many people ask us to do it. By the way, I don't charge you for any of this stuff. There's no extra charge. The only way we make money is to sell real estate. There's no extra charge for this level of service that you get. It's not about money for us. It's about your family. I believe I'm on this planet not for money. It's not about money. It's about helping families stay together, because I truly believe family is the most important thing in everyone's life. I really do. So create a plan. There's 3 simple steps. Number 1, today you have an opportunity to schedule a strategy session. It's 1 hour. No cost, no obligation. Doesn't cost you anything. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. I'm going to ask you to think through your thoughts. Right? Yeah, that's it. Number 2, we're going to start creating a plan. Based on what you tell me, you're going to self-discover. You're going to create your own plan. I'm not going to create it for you. I'm going to ask you questions, and you're going to decide what that plan looks like. It's your plan, not my plan. Right? And then 3rd, we're going to help you take action to build wealth, protect that wealth, and pass it on. It may require you selling real estate. It may not. It may require you to talk to your attorney or a CPA or a financial planner. Yeah. But we may not benefit from this, just to be clear. But I promise you, you will. You will benefit from it. You'll have a peace of mind knowing what your options are. You'll have a peace of mind knowing that you have a plan that's going to actually execute what your goals in life are. So today, you'll have an opportunity to do that. The guys, you got boards? Yeah. That's all I have for today. Let's open it up for questions or ahas. Any questions that you have? I'm sorry, I covered a lot of information today. My wife, Julie, and I wrote this book. It's called Property Decisions: Avoiding Family Disputes and Painful Taxes to Create a Legacy That Lasts. My mentor, his name is Gary Keller. He's the kindest human being I know. He's also a self-made billionaire. But he really loves people, and he loves helping people. Well, he was very kind enough to write the foreword in my book. He's my mentor, and he's the reason why I wrote this book. Because he told me, Dan, you got to write a book. I said, no, I'm not a book writer. He sold 30 million copies of 7 books. Okay? Yeah, that's the guy. But he spends time with little old me. Like, I'm nobody, right? But he said, Dan, you have an impact to the world. Write the book. I'd like to read you his foreword, if I can get through it. Most people think real estate is about property. It isn't. It's about people. Behind every piece of property is a story of work and dreams, of sacrifice and success, and even disappointment. For almost 5 decades, I've had a front row seat to these stories. I've watched families use real estate to build extraordinary wealth and security. I've also seen the same wealth create tension, confusion, and division when clarity and communication were missing. Buying and selling property is the easy part. What comes next is harder. Deciding what to do with it, how to manage it, how to share it, and ultimately, how to pass it on in a way that strengthens relationships instead of straining them. That's why this book matters. What families are often missing isn't effort or good intentions. They're missing a plan, a clear framework, a way to see the whole picture so that they can make confident decisions together. This book provides exactly that. It brings structure to complexity and replaces uncertainty with understanding. What impressed me the most as I read these pages is how seamless the authors connect the practical with the personal. They address the realities of taxes, cash flow, legal structures, and strategy while never losing sight of what truly matters: love, trust, legacy, family. That balance is rare, and it's essential. One idea kept coming back to me as I read: clarity is really power. When people understand their situation clearly, they stop reacting and start making decisions with intention instead of emotion. Families that gain clarity around their real estate don't just protect assets, they protect relationships. How? They build legacies on purpose, not by default. The planning framework introduced here does something very powerful. It takes what feels overwhelming and breaks it down into something simple, visual, and actionable. It turns confusion into confidence. Just as importantly, it turns silence into conversation. Honest, grounded conversations that hold families together across generations. We're entering a period many call the silver tsunami, the largest transfer of wealth in history. Without education and planning, that transfer can become the source of conflict and regret. But with the right tools, it can become the greatest blessing a family ever experiences. This book is one of those tools. It doesn't just teach strategy, it gives families a shared framework. It gives families a shared language. It's a roadmap for anyone who wants their real estate decisions to serve both their financial goals and their family's future. The authors wrote this book from a simple, powerful reason. They care deeply about keeping families together. In the world where complexity often divides, this book does the opposite. It pulls everyone together. And in my experience, this is where all great legacies begin. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and start reading. What you'll find here isn't just advice, it's a blueprint. Not just for managing property, but by building purpose, generational wealth, and peace. I can't think of anything more important than that. Onward, Gary Keller. Today, I'm going to bless you with a copy of this per family, if you want it. If you want it. I'm not going to force this on you. If you want it, I bought books for you. Under one condition, that you sign a covenant with me. And that covenant says you're going to read it, and you're going to tell us what you thought about it, and what you're going to do with the information you got. And if you choose not to, so be it. But there's a lot of people that this book will change their life. It'll change their family's life for generations to come. That's all I have for today. So thank you very much for coming.